Welcome to the Bougie Black Brother Network. Good afternoon and welcome to Fade to Black Cinema. I'm Michael, your Bougie Black Brother, and I'm here with my co-host, Alicia.
Hello.
And today, we're just finished seeing, yesterday we finished seeing the newest Tarantino movie, Once Upon a Time
In Hollywood.
In Hollywood. But I wanted Alicia to look at Tarantino's previous movie because we had some discussions about the way this movie was compared to the other one, and I just had a feeling that I'm not sure if this was something that I'm kind of used to, yada yada yada. So I wanted her to see The Hateful Eight, but we happened to look at The Hateful Eight, the extended version, which was almost 4 hours long because it was broken up into 4 episodes. So we got to see that. So Alicia can look at that, his last full-length movie, compared to the newest one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So as we saw that, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, let me give you the quick premise. It is a faded television actor and his stunt double strive to achieve fame and success in the film industry during the final years of Hollywood's golden age in 1969 Los Angeles. But what made this interesting was he kind of showed the actors that was around. He kind of showed who was out there and who was hot during that time. And these characters really was the center of it all. And who was the characters, baby?
The characters were Leonardo DiCaprio as Rick Dalton, Brad Pitt as Cliff Booth, and Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate. Well, those are the 3 top stars.
Yeah, the top stars. They had a lot of extras in there.
Yeah, they did, like Al Pacino. Who else they had? They had a couple of other actors.
Timothy Olyphant. That's the one who played. What's the one from Tennessee that he was the not the sheriff, but Justified. Justified. Bruce Dern. Damian Lewis played Steve McQueen. Damian, you see him on Billionaires. Or
Billions.
Or whichever ones he was on there. Luke Perry was on there.
Luke Perry was on there. He sure was.
So there was a lot of little extras in there, and they didn't have to linger a long time, but they made appearances as stars during that time, which was like really, really cool. But Alicia, you did kind of some research, and I'm going to switch to a portion in there of the Sharon Tate thing. So I thought, coming into it, it was all about, the time when Charles Manson was doing crazy stuff, and when she got killed, and she married Roman Polanski. And you looked at some things and it was sort of comparing them.
Yeah, well, I watch, a channel where they do all the investigative discovery of crimes that's been done, and Charles Manson was one of them they were talking about. And so, the whole thing with what's her name again?
Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate was she was married to Pelosi. What's his name? Pulaski.
Roman Polanski.
Right. And she was pregnant, and he was out of town. But actually, the actual place that they were living in was owned by someone else who was in the music industry. And Manson was supposed to be he wanted to be a music star, a singer, big star. And the guy who was in the music industry didn't like his music. They said, oh no, we'll get back to, how that worked.
Right.
And so in payback, he was planning to kill him, but blame it on the Black Panther. So, that whole thing.
Black Panthers.
Yes. And
Black Panther is a...
Shut up. And so that when I was like, I didn't know that this movie was about some of that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So,
okay.
So that was a surprise to me. But
I kind of knew it, but never really jumped back into the old. all I do is remember it from clips and different other things. But you actually seen it recently over there.
Yeah. I was happened to watch it, and I was like, damn, this crazy. And then, it was so interesting because, well, actually they were telling the whole story and how he was trying to do it. When he found out that that Sharon Tate is living there, he didn't care. He was still going to go after what he was going after.
Right.
And so that's what the whole thing that's how the whole situation happened from what I seen. But seeing the whole story about him, the whole movie wasn't all about him.
No, it wasn't.
But just knowing just enough of that story, kind of like I kind of understood, how the whole scenario, how he did this movie.
So it was really interesting because it was I told Alicia it was like an era piece. So it was the late 60s, even though it said 1969. In that late 60s, early 70s things, you had the hippies, you had sort of go-go. You had a lot of these westerns that was on TV.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood westerns. Yeah, they was
the Italian westerns and everything, and the TV westerns. So you had a lot of these shows that was out there, and it was really popular to be on a TV series. So Leonardo DiCaprio, or what's his name, Rick Dalton, this was a fading star, and he sat with Al Pacino, which made it really interesting to say, you don't realize all you doing is helping a new star come in by being the villain. So a big star as the villain catapults the actual main guy to be a household name, and all you doing is putting your name to help another person. And the thing is, when you saw him, and then Brad Pitt played such an odd role as a sidekick, stuntman. And that was just it's almost like he was his manservant. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he just done things for him, and he paid him and took care of him.
Yeah, but the reason why he wasn't, remember in the movie, the reason why he wasn't being the stuntman.
Yeah.
Because.
But you found that out later, though.
Yeah. He said, man, you gonna give me a job, man? I can't.
He was like, let me talk about them. Let me do this.
Yeah. Let me see what I can do. But what they said was he killed his wife.
Yeah.
And nobody
it was
wanted
so
to hire
cool.
him. Yeah.
They went to the scene
where he killed his wife.
But he didn't kill his wife.
Right.
You just see the scene where it looked like he was about to kill his wife.
Right.
So it was really crazy. They said, man, he killed his wife and he got away with it. Man, ain't nobody want to deal with him. He's crazy. So, and he was a stuntman. So DiCaprio was like, man, you can use this guy. You can do anything. You can throw him off a roof. You can set him on fire. It really doesn't matter. This guy will do it for you. But he had that stigma against him that people didn't want him on the set. Mm-hmm. So, but the biggest highlight for me for this film was he really put together that era. So when you saw the movie theaters, when you saw the cars, when you saw the stores, when you saw the restaurants, when you listened to what was on TV.
Oh, and let's since you're talking about this, you saw like you said, the TV, the store,
radio.
the radio, the cars going down the highway.
Mm-hmm.
They're old cars going. I mean, he actually had old cars driving down the highway next to the car he was driving in the old car.
Mm-hmm.
The scenes with the clothes were amazing.
Yep.
He really he kept to the year of the late 1960s.
Yep.
I mean she had on Sharon Tate. She had on this badass, beautiful yellow hot pants with the yellow top.
Yep.
And and it was like he purposely did that to make her in that scene
stand out.
She was like the center of attention right there in that scene because they were talking about her, about she was dating this guy, and
when she left him. And then Roman Polanski.
Because Steve McQueen was the one telling. Wasn't that Steve? Yeah, that was Steve McQueen.
Was playing Steve McQueen.
Yeah. So. That don't get me wrong, this was everything about the movie was amazing. I mean, it kept true to everything from the cars to the costumes,
the scenery, they even faded the almost when you looked at the scenery, it was almost like a sepia. It's almost like the visuals of it made it look like this is in the 70s.
Yes.
It wasn't like a modern movie played like the 70s. He had fantastic filters that made it look almost grimy at times. You know, a little gritty, grimy, and it was so the Pan Am when they were flying on the plane.
they're flying in Pan Am.
And
on the
they
plane,
showed that Pan Am had that double decker that you walk up the stairs and go from that, and it was just so authentic all the way through.
It sure was.
So it was amazing set direction. The cinematography was fantastic. It was really, really good. But so the story wasn't as interesting.
Yep, and then another thing that I have to mention, the damn movie was 2 hours and 41 minutes long.
But you didn't realize it.
No. There was a point where I was like, okay, what time is it? I didn't realize what time we got in. And I was like, because it was just some parts.
It was kind of getting a little boring.
Right, it was.
It was getting a little monotonous in between.
It was.
But it wasn't. You like certain movies, you go, man, it's over 2 hours. Jesus. It wasn't that. It just got boring at a certain point.
I mean, if you
felt it,
and and like you said, there were scenes in there. Like, there was a scene where the women were walking across the street. I mean, walking across in front of the car. Right. And so when I seen that scene, I thought of
the Beatles.
No, not only that, but I thought because the women, the way they were dressed and everything, remind me of Manson. Because they were
the followers.
Yes. And so there were just little little things that you see that they did. I mean, and he didn't lead to it.
No.
He did not lead to it.
He just said it happened to be this way.
Right, exactly.
Which made it natural.
Exactly.
So, and again, all of those natural occurrences that came in, the jackets, the big mustaches, the doing that area, the Hawaiian shirts, the flare leg jeans with the hippies and the different things. It looked so amazing. It was an amazing look on all of that. But the story wasn't really like a typical. And I think this is why I think I'm being critical. Because the story wasn't a typical Tarantino type story that he normally writes. Because looking at the Hateful Eight, that dialogue from the front to the end of the movie was amazing.
Yeah, it sure was.
And, some of it was a little outrageous, but the dialogue was so natural. The way the actors were when going back and forth and how they dealt with each other was amazing. But this is what I will say. The acting and the natural way that they talked to each other in this movie was fantastic. I think the acting was very, very. Margot was really cool. She was a really reserved actress that was coming of age. She was someone that people really Sharon Tate was really like, wow, this woman can be a star. She was coming of age.
Right.
And attention to everyone. Brad Pitt played this guy that was just outrageous, but that was his best friend.
Right.
That was DiCaprio's best friend. And he just wanted to be relevant again, and he was losing it. But he was fighting to be a relevant actor. So the acting was just so fantastic. But the story wasn't good. So they rated it at a high 8. Or a mid 8. And if you put everything together and stop at the story and say, was that good enough for you to see again? I was like, this is the one movie that I wouldn't see again because the story didn't interest me.
Right.
Looking at the past and the way it looked and the acting and all of that, I can say, hey, look, that was just amazing. It was the look of it and the way he actually directed it all the way through was really, really good. But the story was boring to me.
Right.
Or I won't say boring. It wasn't exciting to me.
Right.
It wasn't exciting.
Okay.
So, but I didn't rate it. But how would you describe it?
I mean, like when coming into the movie, that's something that that become a habit for me. It's like I come into the movie not knowing what the movie's about, and the thing is I like doing that in some cases. With this one, I mean, it wasn't something I want to see again. That's something, and Tarantino is very violent. I have
Yeah,
to
he's
say.
always violent.
It's like, he gets mad at something, and if he really, really mad at something, he takes it out in his movies. That's the way I see
No,
it.
I don't think he's mad. I just think that's what he does.
Well, I mean, that's
There's
what.
not a movie that he didn't do anything that was crushing somebody's head
Well,
or blowing somebody's head off.
Yeah, but it's every couple of years, babe.
No, but every movie though.
Yeah, yeah. But that's how, I mean, and so seeing that, and then the way he ended, I mean, I really like how he ended it. I wish it was true.
I know.
But I liked how he ended it. But I wouldn't see the movie again. I wouldn't see the movie, and even if it came on. It's something that Tarantino movies, those kind of, any of his movies, usually is not good to watch on regular TV.
No, I would. I mean, the only other one that, and me and Alicia was talking about that too, was the worst of the movies that I didn't want to see was Jackie Brown, because I just thought that was okay. Good dialogue in there, but it was okay. So it was at the bottom. And then up from that would have been Inglourious Bastards. Great acting in there and some silliness in there too, but that was pretty a good movie. But this one goes to the bottom because I would see those again. Because of the actors that's in Jackie Brown, you just never know. You know what I mean? Pam Grier was shows, Samuel L. Jackson shows up in all types of shit. Robert De Niro was in there. Chris Tucker showed up and did an excellent role. It was a lot of good people that was in that movie. But in this one, there was good people, but it didn't hold me enough for me to say, wow, what a good movie. Mm-hmm. I want to see it again. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that's just me. I like Tarantino because of the dialogue, the conversations that they have with each other.
Right.
And it makes it so interesting.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of it in this movie. And for 2 hours and 41 minutes, that's a lot of movie that didn't have interesting dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, there was just some scenes that I did like when Brad Pitt got to that actual farm out there.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to get his ass killed or something like that.
Yeah, because I thought they was going to shoot him.
Yeah, and he was like, the guy actually was in that room sleep and say, leave me the hell alone. I'm blind. I can't see nothing. So how do I know? I mean, it was just, there was some, I love Brad Pitt,
Right.
and so seeing Brad Pitt do something like that, and then seeing Brad Pitt kick some ass as well. That whole scene with Bruce Lee, was it Bruce Lee or his double? I think it was Bruce Lee.
No, it was supposed to be Bruce Lee.
Right.
So in the movie, it was Bruce Lee on the set of Green Hornet, and he was trying to tell people that
he can,
I can kill people with my hands.
Yeah,
and
he was bragging about it.
And Brad Pitt or Cliff was kind of like, man, most of the people doing the talking ain't doing shit anyway.
Right,
you
right.
Know what I mean?
But of course, Tarantino loved kung fu, karate, and all that stuff.
All that. Yep.
Yeah, he likes that stuff. But
so that was an interesting. So again, the layout of the movie and everything, but the story of how you see something and how it ends makes the movie interesting to me.
And another thing is like there was no black people.
Well, think about that era though.
Yeah, I know.
He normally does though. You're right.
Yeah, he normally does. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. And I know that this movie was focused on Hollywood, and at that time, there wasn't. He did show
wasn't a lot.
Right, but he did show black people on the TV,
but no main characters.
Right, exactly.
So that came to my mind too.
Yeah, because I was like, should I say that? I said, fuck it, I'm gonna say it. But I did not see the black characters in there, and I don't know at that time. But the way he had it done and the way he was dealing with those people, it definitely wouldn't have been no black people.
And I didn't think he needed to do it, just to say I better put a black person in there so people will say gratuitous black person showing up. You saw the black people at the parties. You saw some black people on the at the studio, but they were none of them was the main character.
Right.
Which I had to accept during that time. They was only very, very selected black people, like the Bill Cosbys and all of them that had shows during that
like
time.
I said, it wasn't all about the Manson. You know what I'm saying? Because if they did, they would have mentioned, the other stuff about it. Mm-hmm. But, other than that, no. I mean, like I said, yeah, I wouldn't see it again.
No.
I wouldn't see it again. No.
So they rated it high, and I kind of get why they rated it high.
Yeah, I understand that too.
But I still would say a 7.
Wow, you did
Because
nice.
I'm saying 7 because the looking at the movie and everything other than the story is pretty damn good.
Yeah,
It really looked good. The acting on there was fantastic. It's just that the story was lame. It wasn't a story that captivated you. And they broke the story up to, like Leisha was saying, if they would have centered a little more on the Manson side, it would have had some more intrigue. And you would have been like, oh shit, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And even with this, you kind of thought it was going to lead to that, but it didn't.
Yeah, I really did thought it was going to lead to that. I really did.
And since it didn't, it was kind of like, okay, what were you really trying to do?
Yeah, because
I get what you was trying to do.
I thought it was funny when she's like, "Oh, I left my knife in the car," and
Yeah,
then he
and
said,
then she
"Well,
took
you,
the car.
she's like, you need the keys. Oh, give me just wait
thanks
here
for the keys.
Wait, man, got in the car. Was like, screw
She got the hell on.
Yeah, so I
But
mean,
that was the people that was supposed to go up there and kill them.
Sharon Tate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're not gonna tell you how that ended. So
yeah. So anyway, so what do you rate it?
So I have to give it a couple of points for not making me go to sleep for 2.5 2
And
hours.
that was a good job.
That was a good
job,
I mean,
especially for you.
Yeah,
and there were some movies that I thought was way better than this, and that you kind of dozed off on.
Yeah, I dozed off on some. I love the costumes.
Oh yeah, that was
They
fantastic.
were amazing. I love how he kept true to the era.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, a 6.5.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
I mean, I was going to drop it lower than 7, but I really enjoyed almost everything other than the story.
yeah, and then I love Brad Pitt too. So
Well, I love the acting.
you know,
I thought Leonardo DiCaprio was
DiCaprio.
fucking great.
Yeah, and I used to be not a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio because of what's the one that the ship.
The ship? Oh, Titanic?
Yeah, Titanic. I'm like, ugh.
No. So what made me start liking DiCaprio was Inception.
Yeah, that one. And what's the
That
other one?
started me looking at him.
What's the other one where they went back to New York and they were all in the city of New York fighting? What's the actor? I mean, who's the director? God dang it.
Scorsese?
Yeah, Scorsese. He did a lot of stuff with Scorsese.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff with
That's
him.
when I started liking him, when he was with Scorsese.
Well,
Because
Scorsese did some good movies. The other one, The Departed.
Right. That was
really
good.
good.
That's
was
how I
good.
really started to like him, because he was maturing in roles that they were giving him.
But I thought he was okay in The Departed, so I liked him in Departed. But in Inceptions, because it was so overwhelming with everything around him, but he was the center of it, I was like, wow, this dude really goddamn good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So 6.5 I gave it.
That ain't bad. That's still a good. So we averaged like a 6.75, and I could have dropped it lower than mine, but I just thought there was so many good things about it that I said I got to give it credit. You know, I got to give it credit because there was a lot other good things. But I wouldn't see this again. I'll tell people it was worth looking at, and it's very, very long. And for your regular moviegoer, I don't think they would like this, because I think it would be entirely too long. But anywho, other than that, Fade to Black Cinema. See us every Wednesday for movie and TV reviews or TV movies, and we'll be rating them on that and go from there. But check us out on Fade to Black Cinema podcast. Or if you on YouTube, just go to Bougie Black Brother Network, and it'll be there as well. So you can just switch from seeing a couple of videos and then switch over and listen to our podcast. But other than that, anything, baby?
No, that's it, babe.
Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time on Fade to Black. Bye.